pedal to the metal, go, go, go!
Good evening, everyone, and welcome along to Premier Sim Gaming Leagues. We are here tonight for the PSGL and VRT Esports Cup event, streamed live and exclusive on the PSGL YouTube channel. And tonight you join us for round one of the event as we take on the Azerbaijan Grand Prix from the Baku City Circuit. For those of you who don't know me, I'm James Head, and I'm going to be your lead commentator here tonight for the event. And joining me in the commentary box is my regular co-commentator partner in crime. It's Mr. Aidan Carter. Aidan, how you doing?
I'm doing very well, thank you very much. Really excited to get going for the first round of the PSGL and VRT team event. It's going to be such an amazing night. So many amazing names in this championship as well. And what a track we've got to start off with the season as well. So I'm really looking forward to a great evening of racing.
Yeah, it should be absolutely fantastic, of course. I'll just throw it out there, Yana was not racing tonight, so don't worry whatsoever. He's not going to be here. This is all on the PS4 side of things. And I've got to say, a big thank you, of course, to the guys at PSGL, to the guys, of course, at VRT for putting on this event and actually inviting us into the commentary box to take you through all of the action that is going to unfold, of course, out on track. But let us take you through, then, the actual format for the event first. And each team will field 2 drivers for each round, with 10 teams competing for title to be crowned the Esports Cup champions. And the positions are also run on an extended point system. So 35 points awarded to the winner, 28 points for second, and third gets awarded 25 points. The point system then goes down in 2-point increments, reaching down to 9th position, with the rest of the points then being awarded in 1-point increments until we get down to 20th position. Yes, that does mean all positions are to play for, no excuses in terms of retirement out on track. And Aidan, obviously looking at that point system, it creates a whole amount of opportunities for everyone to score points to finish the races, and as it could easily come down to one.
Important that you work as a team in this kind of event. This isn't the same really as a standalone championship where you're fighting for yourself. The sole purpose of this event is to fight for your team, so you've got to make sure that your main priority beyond anything is getting to the end of these races. It's so vital to be able to get to the end of them. If you've got one driver that's right at the front of the field but another one that's retired early on in the race, you're going to lose out to another team that's maybe a little bit lower down but have got both cars within the top 10. So it's really vital that as a team you both are able to get to the end of a race.
Yeah, of course, and the 10 teams that we've got are literally the pinnacle of PS4, on the PS4 platform. Majority of the drivers, of course, race in PSGL, and there'll be some very familiar faces to you, of course, and we'll run through the lineups in just a second. But before we begin, however, let us take you look at the Baku City Circuit in question. Of course, 6 kilometres and then 3.7 miles, 20 turns awaiting our drivers out on track tonight. And, of course, we do have those 2 DRS zones, one down the start-finish straight, one on the run down and towards turn 3. Plenty of 90-degree left-handers and right-handers to tell with, as the old meets the new, of course, around here at Baku. But what we can do is actually take you on board of a lap of the Baku City Circuit, done by VRT Gill, and we'll hand over now to Mr. Evan Dalton, who will take you through the hot lap for Azerbaijan.
Hello everybody, my name is Evan Dalton and we are here to run you through a lap of the Baku City Street Circuit ahead of tonight's race. We are on board now with VRT's very own VRT Gill as he is starting on the lap of Baku, braking for turn 1 just before the 50-meter board down to 3rd gear. Just ahead of us now is another left-hander, 90 degrees. Avoid the inside curb as that will unsettle the car. You can take a little bit, but not too much. Nail the traction, activate the DRS, and get down the straight as quick as possible for another 90-degree left. Braking just before the 50-metre down to third gear, avoid the inside curb, and the same again for this right-hander before the 50, third gear, avoid the inside curb. Coming up now, you have to hug the car as close to this left-hand wall as you can, and at the same third gear, avoid the outside curb. That will unsettle the car, which you don't want. This next corner, you have to brake perfectly and try cut as much of the inside as you can without invalidating your lap time. Next is the famous castle section. Charles Leclerc, famous crash there of course, right-hander in third gear, left-hander in third gear, and absolutely nailed the traction to perfection, and you are on to a flat-out left-hander, followed by another flat-out left-hander. This next corner, you will hear a lot about the Esports line. Here it is, bounce over the curb in third gear, unsettle the car, and settle it straight back down again for what is the final braking zone on the circuit. Avoid the inside curb, take a lot of exit curb, and head towards some flat-out easy corners on qualifying mode. There it is, final right, 8th gear, DRS zone is late on this straight, it's coming up just about now, DRS activated, ERS to the max, and F1 cars at their full max capacity here across the line for a lap of the Baku City Street Circuit.
Well, that, of course, was a hot lap of the Azerbaijan circuit, the Baku City circuit, and Aiden, obviously, 20 turns awaiting the guys out on track. It just comes to show the actual undulations of the track, and it just comes to show how difficult this track actually is to drive.
Yeah, I mentioned it a little bit earlier on. This is such an interesting track to have as a first round for this season. It's so difficult to master this track. It's quite a long circuit, this one, for a street circuit. It's quite long. It's very high speed for a street circuit as well. The fastest street circuit, I believe, in the world, if I'm not mistaken. So it's really difficult for these drivers to get it right. And as you saw with that hot lap there, one very minute mistake and you're in the wall. There's no real forgiveness at this track for any sort of mistakes, especially that infamous castle section. Of course, a little bit modified in real life. They've taken out the curb, but that hasn't been taken out of this game, which means that you've still got to deal with that bump on the inside. So many areas in this track that are so difficult to master, and it's going to be really easy for some of these guys to possibly make a mistake.
Yeah, it really is. And do you know what? It is the old meets the new, quite literally, here in Azerbaijan. A really old classic street circuit, to be honest. Like Valencia back in 2012. Very similar vibes that I get from that, of course. But what we'll do now is have a look through the lineups of each team that is going to be racing, of course, here not only tonight, but indeed for the whole event. And now we'll start off with CRG. And CRG are probably one of the favourites coming into the event. We've got Blizzard, Midnight, CRG Gamer, Georges and Leo. They're all competing for Comrade Gaming. Of course, they automatically qualified for the event as well, along with VSR and VRT, who we'll come on to in just a second. FVR is the second lineup that we do have, as it is loading on my end. I can tell you that. The graphic is not loading now on my end, which is absolutely terrible. But it is probably up on your screen. Of course, Mode Stroll, I know, is racing, of course, here tonight for FVR. And I will have to transition over to the Twitter. Aidan, do you have them by any chance?
I do, actually, on my end. Yeah, the lineup. For FVR, we've got Luca, Mode Stroll, Panzer, ISM, and Demetrius as the full team lineup. And I believe racing tonight we have FVR, Luca, and Mode Stroll, like you mentioned earlier on. So that's who's running tonight for the FVR team. Moving on to the very next team after that one, which I believe, if I am not mistaken, is I think that's Team Mentalism. I think is our next team, if I'm not mistaken fully. I don't know if we've got the full list on our end, but Team Mentalism, I believe, is next up for this stream. So Team Mentalism, I know that racing tonight we've got M&T Yon, and we've got Nathan racing as well. Grimbos is in for reserved for Mentalism here tonight. Other names, as you can see on the lineup for Team Mentalism, Frederick is up there along with Louis VLT as well. That's the full Team Mentalism lineup then. Moving on to the next lineup in this one then, we have got Outplayed Racing. I believe they are racing with Fusillo and Jaquita 37 tonight. They're the two drivers that are in play. They do have a reserve driver themselves as well in Fede FM. Their two other drivers for the rest of this season are Nico and Toma. They're the two others for the lineup. The next team that we will move on to are WOR. So WOR, we've got Lars and Namsco 93 racing for the team tonight. Their reserve driver for the evening is Risse. That's the next person on their list. We've obviously got Baraka and Netsky as well racing for WOR. Of course, WOR, a great league in itself. They're running with their esports team for this event. Moving quickly on to the next team, we've got Glitch Vortex Racing. Of course, Vortex really, really helpful with running this event for us. They've done an absolutely brilliant job. And of course, we've just seen VRT Guild do that amazing hot lap for us. He is racing here tonight as well. He'll be racing alongside his teammate, Will LG25, with the reserve as M Short for them tonight. Their two other drivers for the league this season will be Danarico and Valentin. They will be the 5 drivers for the Vortex Racing team for the rest of the season. We'll move on quickly to the next team, and we've got TTG. So Team TTG tonight, they are running TTG Vexum and TTG Mishi. Their reserve driver is TTG Christmas. That's a pretty good name. I'd say TTG Christmas. That one is definitely, maybe not apt of the time of the year, but is a good name either way. Fabi and Wouters are their other 2 drivers for the rest of the season, so look out for them as well. Visceral Esports are the next team that we will move on to. They are running tonight with Duncan and Xander. Xander originally was their reserve driver, so he will be taking place tonight, as I believe we are now just about getting ready to get set for the start of this lobby. So it looks like we're about to go, James.
Yeah, we are indeed, and we'll run through, of course, the rest of the lineups as we get to it. But qualifying is about to begin around the Baku City Circuit. We cannot wait. I'm sure you can't wait either at home, and hopefully you're going to be getting involved, of course, in the comment section. So without further ado, let us get underway, let us get started, and let us go into qualifying. And of course, welcome along to the Baku City Circuit. The Baku City Circuit, of course, 6 kilometres in length, 3.7 miles. 2 DRS zones, of course, running down this absolute fine straight. One down towards turn 1, of course, and then one down towards turn 3. The old meets the new, quite literally, of course, here in Baku. And in terms of the tyre compound as well, we do have the softs, mediums, and the hards that are going to be used within this qualifying event, of course, tonight. And hopefully, it all begs the question, all bears down onto what is going to be happening, of course, out on track. And of course, as we transition back into the track, hopefully it is going to be bright blue skies, sunshine, and hopefully some very good racing, of course, out on track. And we can now see as we transition in, bright blue skies, sunshine, exactly what we like to see.
Yeah, definitely what we like to see for qualifying as well. It means that we're hopefully going to see the best of these drivers here this evening as well, of course. I wouldn't want to be one of these drivers as well, having a wet qualifying around Baku. We've just spoken about how difficult this track is to master. Even in the wet, it just makes it that little bit more just impossible to master, isn't it? It's such a difficult circuit to master in the wet, let alone the dry. So, obviously, we don't know about the race yet. The race could be a completely different kettle of fish. We'll wait and see. But either way, I'm really excited to see who's going to come out on top here.
Yeah, the first cars are about to leave the pit lane. The Mercedes coming out of Vexum. First one, I think, is one of the Williams, if I'm not mistaken. And we'll take you through, of course, who is in what car. Shazoo seem like they're in Williams. And it is, of course, Suku and Kazizel representing them. Of course, Kazizel, a recent addition to the team from FRL Esports. Suku, of course, the pole will be hoping for a very good result, of course, out on track. I believe he is, of course, in PSGL F2 moving forward. But hopefully it is going to be fantastic to see. I can see all of you guys in the comment section as well. Hopefully going to be delivering on what we want. Really good action, of course, and keep the comments fair. Just because Yana Watmia and the F1 Esports guys are not racing doesn't mean that we can keep it a fair comment section, and hopefully everyone be on board, everyone can support these drivers out on track, and hopefully that is what everyone wants to see.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it was obviously a great race to watch. It was great to see as well. But of course, what we want to see is fair racing on track. And we also want to see fair treatment, of course, in the comment section as well. We really want to see people enjoy the racing, but not make it too personal, if you know what I'm saying. We want to keep it as fair as we can. So that's what we want to see. At the end of the day, it's always great racing in PSGL. So it's going to be amazing here tonight, no matter what we see. So it's going to be a really, really fun night.
It is going to be a really fun night, and I can see the VSL man of Mr. Duncan Hoffland. Of course, Duncan, part of the Pro Exhibition Series back in 2021, finished 5th position actually behind one Matthijs van Urban. And where did he go, I wonder? He went into F1 Esports along with Simon Shooter, of course, who finished second in the F1 Pro Exhibition. This is Mr. Duncan Hoffman, and now we ride on board then. As we come now down in towards turn number 1, I'm just going to take the telemetry off and disable it just so you can see a clearer view on the run down in towards turn 1 with Duncan on a lap of the Baku City Circuit. Through turn 1, the 90-degree left, and then gets caught on the curb on the outside. Now in towards turn number 2, and you can see the track map to the right-hand side. The undulations really don't give around here. Out of the exit of turn 2, the 90-degree left-hander, and then running down into another 90-degree left-hander. Plenty of them riddled in the first sector here in Baku, as he now comes down and towards turn 3 the German, and now runs through, the Dutchman I should say, coming through turn 3, and then in towards turn number 4, another right-hander of 90 degrees, and then towards the end of the first sector split. And we'll have to see, of course, how Duncan is doing through the first sector, and it looks to me it's a 34.2 through the first sector from Duncan, which is not too bad whatsoever. There are the flame towers that spawn the Baku metropolis here in, of course, the capital of Azerbaijan. Through turn 7 we go, and then into the infamous castle section. This can make or break careers, quite literally, and Duncan now through 8, 9, 10, 11, and then towards the top of the hill, pretty much at the highest point of the track here through turn 12, and then in towards turn 13. Again, the undulations just dip down from the highest point of the track through turn 13. Flame towers again on the right hand side through turn 14, and then on the esports line towards turn 15. Take that curb, run it over, don't hit the wall on the right hand side. Absolutely perfect from Duncan. Looks like, however, he has backed off this lap, so just didn't seem like he was actually on a lap, unless he's just backed up in this middle sector, but he's got going again. Now coming through in towards 17, and then through the flat right-handers, left-hander and right-hander of 18 and 19, and then through the kink of 20. That's pretty much a lap of the Baku City Circuit over and done with. Of course, Duncan on a set of soft compound tyre. He's not going to juke me into the pit lane, is he? I hope not. He's now running toward the line, and Duncan running toward the line, set 139.7, but that is really not representative of a lap. The CRG Blizzard comes straight in with a 38.2 and behind. As Suku obviously leading the way, and Vexum now coming out on top of the 38.1, Suku in second with a 38.2, and then Blizzard with a 38.2 as well. So Vexum currently for the Mercedes gang looking quite good. Kazizzle there in second, Suku in third as it stands, because Kazizzle there coming in with a 138.1. Looking further down the field as well, we've got FER Luca on a lap. He's coming through in towards the final couple of corners through 15, and then in towards turn 16 as well. So Luca, the Dutchman, of course, as Midnight goes quickest with a 37.8, so not a bad lap. And Will LG comes in with a 37.5, so these lap times really now beginning to bear down. Luca then on the run in towards turn 20, through the kink of turn 20, of course, FER represented in the Alfa Romeo tonight. Mold Stroll, of course, their other driver, is in the pit lane at the minute, but plenty of lap times being set to the left-hand side of your screen. Luca now runs the line, and he goes 7th with a 38.4. Will LG out on top, though. Midnight in second. Vexum in third. 6 minutes gone in qualifying, Aidan.
Yeah, 6 minutes gone in qualifying, and the top two already quite clear for the rest of the pack. It's pretty close at the moment. Third down at the moment, down to 7th. It's fairly close, but yeah, Will LG and Midnight at the top of the sheets, the only drivers in the 37s at the moment. I was riding on board with Lars for his first lap in the Haas. Unfortunately, he did have a little bit of a mistake at the very start of the second sector and had to get completely off the track and out of the way of other drivers that had just started their run. So his first lap time not representative. He's going again on the same set of tyres, though. He's backed off completely on the second half of that previous one. He's going again in the Haas, runs very close to the wall there, coming out of turn 12, just about gets away with it as he heads through this top part of the track then and up towards this very tricky corner here, turn 15. So easy to bump into the outside wall, and he does exactly that, a little bit too much curb on the inside of the corner and loses the rear of the car in the process. Gets through the final corner, the final proper corner of the track, and now is that long 2-kilometre run all the way down to the end of this lap then, through the kinks of the corners then, turn 19 and 20 then. 20 this kink here, the last corner to complete, and up towards the line. It goes to the right hand side of the track, and he's put his ERS off by the looks of things down this straight, so that means that his lap seems to be over and done with, and he dives into the pit lane, I think recognising that that run was just a little bit too messy for him.
Yeah, 204.6, obviously not a representative time at all from Lars. Risa is on a lap as well. He's just coming through the end of the first sector. We'll run aboard now with the other Haas, of course, out on track. Will LG, though, out on top. And, of course, he produced a brilliant performance at Silverstone to make 25 laps of a set of medium compound tyres. Of course, he had to pit in before he got disqualified, but he did do an admirable performance in Silverstone of PSGL F1. Oh, as Risa gets caught on the curb, coming through 8 and 9. Just a snap of oversteer. Very rare to see that actually coming through the castle section, but Risa now in towards turn 13, the top of the hill. It's Will LG though out on top, Midnight in second, Vexham in third. Nowhere near the sort of lap times that we're going to be setting. It's all going to be very late on indeed, where the lap times are going to come. I mean, Xander and Duncan are down in 15th and 16th, for example. They are definitely not representative times at all from the set of soft runners for VSR. But Will LG, as I say, out on top, Midnight in second, Vexham in third. Really hope you're enjoying the action. I can see nearly 300 of you already tuning into the stream, which is absolutely mad. This is only qualifying, and of course the race is coming up in about 10 minutes time. Rita has pulled off the left-hand side. He is invalidated coming through the end of the middle sector and now comes straight into the pit lane. So absolutely typical, but we get two drivers, both WR, into the pit lane when we run aboard them. Typical.
Yeah, typical stuff, just our luck, isn't it? But yeah, not quite the start to the qualifying session, unfortunately, for WOR. Both drivers really struggling on their first laps in this session. Then Lars with only a 2:04, and Risa without a lap time on the board at all. Mode Stroll and Misha are the only two other drivers that are yet to set a lap time. Misha has gone out for an out lap, so I think he invalidated his first run, so he's yet to set an actual time on the board yet, but he's gone out for another run. You can get 3 runs in around this track. This track is quite long. It's pretty much impossible to get 4 runs in qualifying around this track unless you are lightning fast or you've messed up one of your runs and you've had to bail fairly early on. So this will be his second run in the session as everyone's just coming out now, and it looks like Misha for TCG is going to be the next driver to start their run in qualifying.
Yeah, he is, of course, Mitchie down in 19th position in the Mercedes. I can see a comment, by the way, in the comment section, probably about my mic quality. I believe there's a loose connection either from the software update. I will try and get you another controller as I speak. But Will LG still out on top, Midnight in second, Vexham in third. I will try and fix that problem, though, with this the loose connection that has been bothering me since the last update from the PS4. But Mitchie, on the run now towards turn number 1. Aiden, do you want to take us through this lap while I look for a new controller?
Yeah, let's go for it then. Let's go for a ride on board around this circuit. Then once again on board the Mercedes man. It's gone through turn 1 already, up towards turn 2 and the start of the second of the 2 DRS straights on this track. Then gets nicely on the traction out of the corner and down this back straight. Then a good overtaking opportunity, especially on the opening lap as well. Great switchback opportunities down into this corner. Then turn 3, just misses the curb on the inside. A little bit of a lock-up, runs a little bit wide, nearly hits the wall, but just about gets away with it through turn 4 and up towards the end of the first sector, and this is where the track starts to get a bit more technical. There's only a 34.4 in the first sector from Mitchie. It's not the best start to the lap that he would have wanted. Coming up towards turn 7, then you can easily hop over the curb on the inside of this ebb, and you can take a lot of liberties with it, as Mitchie does then through that corner, and then into this famous castle section, then hops over the curb at 8 through 9, 10 and 11 then, and then turn 12 to finish off this high section of the track. Xander moving out of the way nicely there for the Mercedes driver. Up through the crest then to turn 13, turn 14 and then turn 15. We've already seen a few drivers make a mistake at this corner. He doesn't touch the curb like we've seen some other drivers do, playing it nice and safe. This is a Mercedes man looking to just get a lap on the board at this point in the session. Through the final proper corner on the lap, and it looks like his TCG teammate Vexham is going to give him a lovely tow down this 2 kilometre long flat out section to the end of the lap. This is great team play here from TTG at the very end of the lap. Then through turn 20, the final corner on the lap. And now this very, very long run to the line then behind his teammate. What a brilliant tow this is for Mitch as he comes up towards the line, crosses the line, and it's a 37.5. What a brilliant end to the lap that was. The first sector wasn't all that special. We've seen better first sectors from other drivers, but the second and third sectors of the lap was stunning for the Mercedes man, and he goes to provisional pole by just 0.07 of a second.
Yeah, Duncan in behind as well in the Aston Martin for VSR, 137.586. He goes second. Hopefully that's a bit better, by the way, in terms of the mic quality. If not, you might just have to deal with it as we progress through tonight. But Mitchie out on top, Duncan second, Will LG in third. Will be hoping for a very good lap. He's now coming through the kinks of turn 18, 19, and then through turn 20. There are yellow flags briefly in the final sector. I think that was a Red Bull getting out of the way, possibly. But Will LG now running towards the line. The absolute goat of VRT. Is he coming into the pit lane? Yes, he is. Will LG into the pit lane, and he does not go quicker than third. Midnight as well improved on his lap as well, 37.6 from Midnight. So we're seeing now the top end of the guys. We'll try and flick on board. The Red Bulls are certainly coming through the final couple of corners. I think that's Yakita on a lap, 38.7. Currently, he's got Facilo, of course, his teammate in PSGL, and indeed for OP tonight in front of him as he now runs down in towards turn number 1, but he comes across on Sellers' lap and he goes 8th with a 38.2. CRG Blizzard as well, he's coming through the castle section, 38.2 on his lap. Mitchie the Wild on top, Duncan second, Will LG in third. Still, with quite a few of these guys, we're nowhere near the sort of pace that we should be seeing.
Yeah, I've just hopped on board with a lot of drivers, and a lot of drivers, as soon as I've hopped on board with them, have made very minute but costly errors. So riding on board with FVR Luca, he was about 0.6 of a second up on his lap, which could have put him into the 37s, but unfortunately at the very last proper corner of the lap, turn 16, hit the brakes far too late for the corner and missed the corner completely. He didn't invalidate, but he lost far too much time for the rest of the run down the straight, so that was his lap time pretty much ruined. We also saw Lars, I think, go for another moment as well. I think he had a spin coming out of turn 16 at the end of his lap, so it's still not quite going WOR's way at the moment. Rissa is on a lap at the moment, down in 20th place without a time. He's coming towards the end of the second sector now as he hops over the curb once again at turn 15, slightly taps the wall, but gets away with it into turn 16, and it's a 13.2 at the end of the second sector. Not really any way you can invalidate from this point onwards, so it looks like we're going to get a representative time. WOR on the board after this second run. Only 4.5 minutes to go though. This might be tight on time for Risse to get another run in this session in, unless he decides to bail on this run and go again at the end of the session. Opens the DRS for the run towards the line, keeps it in the middle of the track, doesn't want to move about and break any momentum, crosses the line and goes P5 on a 37.7. That's much more like it from the Haas driver, but now he's got to really push now to get back to the pit lane to make it out for another run.
Yeah, he has. Jensen's coming through the final couple of corners as well. Harry Banks improves up to 16th as well. It's the man I was trying to flick on board with. Mitchie the Wild on top, Duncan second, Will LG in third. The top three, by the way, are covered by, as the glint in the sun really doesn't do me any harm. I have got glasses on, by the way, and I can't see the top time, but I think it's about 200th of a second covering the top three. Goodness me, I've never had to say that to the commentary before, but Will LG in third position, Midnight there in fourth. Rita, though, as you say, really good lap from him, 37.7, and that was done with hardly any tow around the lap as well, especially down that straight. And if he got towed down that straight, it probably would have been an improvement, maybe beating Mitchie for pole position at the minute. But with 3.5 minutes to go, Mitchie out on top. It's Duncan in second and Will LG in third. Some of these comments, by the way, I'm loving the comments that are coming in. Hopefully you are enjoying this. 331 of you currently watching, which is absolutely fantastic. And hopefully you are enjoying tonight's live stream so far. And if you are, like, comment, subscribe, tick that notification bell, of course, if you are new. But Mitchie out on top, Duncan second, Will LG in third. 3 minutes to go, and this is where we now get to the nitty-gritty.
Yeah, these are the final runs now. Last opportunity for these drivers to make an impact in this qualifying session. We're still seeing two drivers without really representative times on the board. Last still yet to improve on that 204. And Mostral's just made it back into the pit lane without a front wing. So he's made a mistake on his previous run somewhere around the lap. Didn't quite catch where that was. But unfortunately, the Alfa Romeo driver a little bit on the back foot already without a time in the session. Only 2 minutes and 40 seconds to go, so these guys have got to get out of the pit lane pretty quickly. It's a long lap around this track. You can't afford to sit around, and of course you need to make the space with the other drivers before you get to the final sector, really, because there's nowhere in the final sector to really move out of the way without costing yourself time.
Yeah, for Celo, I was just catching on board with as well. He's actually run out of fuel on his lap, so it looks like he's going to be coming in 38.2 is currently his best. But plenty of laps being had. The first man on our lap, I believe, is that man there, CRG Blizzard, 38.2. We know he can go a lot quicker. And do you remember the last time we actually commentated on CRG Blizzard, Aiden? He tied with Toxic coming across the line in an F2 race around here, 1100ths of a second. And now, how much has changed in a year and a half as he has joined, of course, CRG. 38.2 on his lap. Will LG has also started up on a lap as well. There is yellow flags. I believe he might have just backed off that lap, though.
Yeah, he did. I just hopped on board actually with him starting his lap, and he hopped over the curb on the right-hand side for the braking zone of turn 1. And almost as soon as he hit the brakes, he rear-locked the car and went straight on at turn 1. So his lap was over before it really started, unfortunately. And by the looks of it, I don't know if he's going to have... He will have just enough time to get around for another lap, but by the looks of it, looks like he's backing off just to try and save the fuel to make sure he does have a run.
Yeah, to be honest as well, his teammate is actually a couple of cars ahead of him out on track, looking at the track map. One board with Blizzard, though, coming through the end of the first sector. And again, 34.2 through the first sector. It's really good in terms of the first sector split. Hopefully, going to be towards the top end with Duncan, with Will LG, and with Mitchie towards the top end as well. Now through turn 7, take as much of the curve as you saw with Evan Dalton's right on board, and he's coming up to traffic actually. Will LG is actually in front of Blizzard coming through the castle section. This is not ideal. Nearly knocked the front wing actually on the right side end plate. Flies through turn 11 and 12, and there's Mitchie off to the left hand side as well. But we are really getting down. 50 seconds to go. Everyone now starting up on their laps or on out laps at the minute. CRG Blizzard though running in towards turn 15 will take the Esports line over the curb. Nearly hits the wall on the right hand side. Very aggressive. It might even give him suspension damage. He's got Midnight, his teammate, just in front of him as well. Of course, both CRGs in the AlphaTauri tonight. Mitchie though still out on top of Blizzard. This is going to help him massively down the straight through turn 18, through turn 19, and then in towards turn number 20, and now runs the line. This long, nearly 1 kilometre straight here in Baku, runs down in towards the line, and Midnight giving him so much tow. Blizzard doesn't want to come out of that tow, but Blizzard now runs the line, and he goes 4th in the end, 37.6. I thought it was looking a little bit quicker than that, but Mitchie out on top, Duncan second, Will LG in third. Will LG, of course, one of the first men to start up on a lap as well. Duncan's out there as Lars improves up to 5th, and Duncan's invalid.
Yeah, Duncan's invalidated his time. Lars finally getting a representative lap time in this session. So both WR drivers now in the top 7 at this point, and Risse still yet to set another lap time in this session as well. Was a lot of people coming up to the line now to start their runs. I think Gil was on a lap, obviously the man that did a hot lap for us at the start of this session in the McLaren. He's not had the best of sessions so far for VRT, currently down in 17th place. His first sector's only a 34.6. That's not competitive compared to where Blizzard was. That's nearly 0.4 of a second down in the first sector alone, so not been a great start for him. Fusilier crosses the line to start his next run as well. But the next person to cross the line, I think, might be one of the Alpine cars to finish their lap, and I think that is Nathan. He's going to be the first person to finish off this session. Gil's crashed in the castle section on his run, so he's not going to be completing. He's going to be only 17th, at least on the grid, but Nathan looking like he's going to improve in the Alpine. He'll be the first to cross the line without a tow, unfortunately, for the Alpine driver. Crosses the line, goes from 19th and goes up into 16th place. Only found 0.7 of a second, but it's only enough to gain him 3 places.
It is only enough to get him 3 places, but we are really into the nitty-gritty. There was a 1-minute glitch, by the way, so don't take the times that you're seeing out on track. Quite literally, there is still a little bit to go, but drivers now beginning to come across the line. So, nearly at the end of quality, Kazizel, by the way, went up to 8th position as well. Midnight has invalidated on this lap, so he will not be improving. Will LG, what is he doing out there out on track as he now runs the line in the McLaren? Mitchie's still out on top, though. Mitchie is also coming to the line and goes even quicker. Will LG doesn't, and he's coming back into the pit lane. Let's have a look at Rita. Is he improving on his lap? It doesn't look like he is as he comes through in towards turn 15. Let's right on board with Xander as well. He comes out through 18 and then through 19. Gets a little bit of tow. Blizzard off to the left-hand side. He's run out of fuel, but Xander now running to the line. I don't think he's actually on a lap. You can see him weaving down the straight, and Xander's only going to be starting 11th unless he actually improves running to the line. Let's see if he is going to improve. Xander to the line, and he doesn't improve. It's 11th position for him. Yakita and Fusilo also on laps as well. Yakita goes 11th ahead of Xander. Fusilo is invalid. That's pretty much it, I think. Harry Banks is the only one for IFR along with Suku, who's out there on laps at the minute. But Harry Banks, now, what can the Brit do? 38.4 for the underdogs on that IFR. Runs toward the line, of course, took the win last night, I should say, in TTL F1. He doesn't go any quicker, and up to 16th position, I should say, he does go quicker. Suku's run out of fuel. That's the end of a frantic qualifying session for the PSGL and VRT Esports event, and it's Mitchie out on top. It's Duncan second, Will LG in third, and in the end, those top 3 from earlier on in the session proved to be the top 3 at the end of the session.
Yeah, the only drivers that really made any improvements on their final run were Blizzard and Lars in 4th and 5th place. They were the only drivers that were able to jump up the field. Everybody else made some sort of error, all got caught in traffic. There was a lot of traffic in the end of that session. A lot of drivers coming out the pit lane at the very end of that one and getting in each other's way.
Yeah, getting each other way, and to be honest, there was not really many improvements out on track as well, and that's just the nature of the beast. Of course, that is Baku. But out on top, it is the Spaniard, the Spaniard of Mitchie is German, actually. Mitchie out on top from Duncan, the Dutchman, in second. Will, the Flying Brit, in third, ahead of CRG Blizzard. I think he'll take one over on Blizzard, I think, as a result of that one. But Blizzard in fourth, with Lars in fifth, Midnight in sixth, Risa in seventh, because this will ran off the top 8 along with Jensen and Suka. Good to see Jensen, actually, qualified in the top 10, of course, championship leader in PSGL F3. Suku in P10, as I say. Yakita, Xander, Vexam, Fusilo, and Johan ran off the top 15. Harry Banks, Nathan, Luca, Gil, and Modestroll. Modestroll only not getting a lap time in. Everyone else, though, 9/10 of a second, covering every single driver that set a lap. That is what you call esports.
Yeah, that was absolutely brilliant. Incredible stuff to see so many drivers so close to one another. And the top 7 as well, covered by top 8, sorry, covered by under 0.2 of a second at one of the longest tracks on the calendar. That is absolutely insane to see so many drivers so close to one another. Just goes to show the quality of this field, doesn't it, as well? And it just goes to show the quality of the field as well, that all the teams across the board seem to be incredibly spread out, apart from CRG and WOR. They seem to be the only 2 teams that are somewhat close to one another.
Yeah, they are somewhat close to one another, and I saw everyone's predictions, by the way, on Twitter. Quite a few predictions came in on Twitter, and they were predicting that VRC, CRG were going to be towards the top end of the field. But honestly, take it from a commentator's perspective. I commentate many of these guys before, and honestly, I think this event is so wide open. Anyone can actually win this event. However your opinions might are, we have to support, of course, the PS4 platform and the esports guys, of course, that are coming through, and the hot talent that is coming through both PSGL and indeed in this event as well. But WR showing a really good pace as well. Darkiller coming in there with a comment saying, showing why they're the best team on all platforms. May agree, to be honest, with that comment, but they've got to put money where the mouth is, and they've now got to deliver, of course, in the race. And the pit stop strategy comes up straight away for me. Lap 5 to 7, and then lap 15 to 21, it says, for a 2-stop around here. 1-stop strategy, I think, might be the way to go. But let's have a look at what tyres everyone is on out on track, of course, qualifying on that set of on the set of softs, I should say, are the top 10, and that's Mitchie, Duncan, Will LG, Blizzard, Lars, Midnight, Reset, Kazizzle, Jensen, and Suku. Everyone else below Yakita, down to Modestroll, all on a set of medium compounded tyres. And Aiden, in terms of the strategy around here, we've been used to seeing the soft runners coming around lap 5, lap 6. Obviously, with this new handling model and with the new performance model, of course, that has also came into the game, it could create better tyre wear, and it could mean that the guys on the set of softs could go further into the race.
Yeah, we've kind of seen it across the real game cycle, haven't we, so far, that it seems to be a lot easier for individual drivers to actually manage tyre wear. It kind of came a little bit of a trend on the previous game that the tyre wear was a little bit it was almost kind of stagnant. It was the same pretty much for every driver. You kind of had to run around knowing exactly when you pitted, but depending on what your setup is, you can try different strategies here. You can try and extend, you can maybe go a little bit shorter on your tyres. It all depends really on your driving style and what your setup is. But yeah, we are likely to see a lot of soft runners go definitely further than that 5. We could see as some drivers come in early, try and undercut and maybe get on the mediums and try and take them to the end of the race, but the medium tyres will be very, very worn by the end of the race and would have lost a lot of their speed, and you don't really want to have that disadvantage because it is just so easy to overtake at this track.
It is so hard to overtake at this track, and we have to speak about, of course, the good old DRS train around here. The DRS train, if you get embroiled in this DRS train, the further down you are in this train, the less likely you are to actually get overtakes done, unless you've got a straight line speed tilt that beats pretty much everyone out on track. It is literally so impossible to try and follow the car's toe in front and, of course, in behind as well. And this is what the guys have got to think about whilst managing their tyres. And, of course, we now come through the final couple of corners. Mitchie, of course, out on top. Duncan in second. Will LG in third. Really hoping that this race is going to deliver around Baku. Round 1 of the Esports Cup for PSGL and VRT is about to begin. Hopefully you guys have got popcorn, have got a cup of tea at the ready. You're sitting here, watching down, watching the racing. Aiden, I'm going to come across to you and put you on the spot. Who's your top 3?
I knew you were going to do this to me. This is going to be so incredibly difficult to predict, but I've got my own Will. I think Will in that McLaren has a good shot of winning this race. I'm going to go for Blizzard for P2, and you know what? We're going to go for someone a little bit different. We're going to go Xander for P3, someone on that alternate strategy.
Yeah, interesting. Xander, of course, down in P12. He has got a lot of pace about him. VSR quite strong in terms of their team, but the 5 red lights are now coming on in the gantry. PSGL and VRT Esports Cup about to begin. The 5 red lights are on, and it is, eventually, I hope, lights out and away we go. Mitchie gets a very good start. Duncan off the line as well. He has to nearly gets a bit of wheel spin. Will LG is going around the outside of him in towards someone, but it's Mitchie who leads. Duncan in second. Will LG nearly forced into the wall. Everyone through cleanly, turn 1. If I get my words out, that'll be brilliant. Will LG and Duncan have a little bit of contact, and now Blizzard is going to try and capitalise on this as well, but Mitchie leads the way. Duncan in second, Blizzard in third. Mitchie stolen away by 0.8 of a second. Blizzard now nearly making it 3 wide. Down the run and towards turn 3. Duncan now into second. Blizzard in third. Will LG loses out possibly on 2 positions there. Midnight and Risa in behind as well are fighting the Haas and the AlphaTauri, and the AlphaTauri goes clean around the outside of him. So Midnight through, leads into 6th position. Suku and Jensen are fighting side by side. Kazizzle involved in this as well. The 2 Shazoo boys are really getting a sandwich in on Jensen at the moment, but as they run towards the Flame Towers and turn 7 for the first time, it's Mitchie out on top, Duncan second, Blizzard in third, and Kazizzle dives it down the inside of turn 7. Not going to go side by side through here, but Kazizzle makes that one stick. He's into P9. Lovely move.
Yeah, brilliant move there from Kazizzle to now be right up behind his teammate as well. Fairly well behaved actually through the first few corners. The only driver down the field that I can see that does have a little bit of a problem at the moment is FVR Luca. He is missing one of his end plates at the moment, so that's going to be a real struggle for him to continue on those medium compound tyres. Like we see him earlier as he hits the wall again there, coming through turn 14. So easy to do, and that allows Gil to go back through in that McLaren and up into 19th place. So don't be surprised if we see Luca into the pit lane at the end of this lap. Beyond that, a little bit of wheel banging between Duncan and Will, but in the end, fair play between the drivers. It was aggressive but clean racing, and Blizzard was the one that won out on that, ending up in 3rd place.
Yeah, Shazoo Neon as well, saying in the comment section, clean racing. Yeah, totally clean racing. Fantastic, of course, as we end lap 1. Mitchie leads the way, Duncan in 2nd. But Duncan, with that toe, gains 3/10 of a second down that straight, running down in towards turn 1. Apologies again by the interval timing to the left-hand side. They've messed up, and they'll fix themselves, of course, through turn 4. Looking further down the field as well, Lars has made up a couple of positions with Midnight and Risa, looking very good indeed. Bexham, I think, is nearly going side by side with Xander further down the field. The interval timings have really given me a little bit of a problem on the left-hand side. Modestraw, Luca and Harry Banks, though, both all into the pit lane. Obviously picked up damage on that first lap. So Modestraw, but FVR, really disappointing currently. Both of them have also had a double stack as well. So Modestraw down in 18th, Harry Banks in behind in 19th for IFR. Luca in the pit lane as well, and he's going on for a fresh set of medium compound tyres. So an alternate strategy between the 2 FVR boys. But Mitchie leads the way, Duncan in 2nd, Blizzard in 3rd. Mitchie held his own. He was 8/10 of a second ahead going in towards turn 3. But now Duncan, he is using that Pro Exhibition pace, he is using his pace from VSL, and he's using his knowledge of this track to really close in. And it looks like the top 3 now pulling away, with Will LG beginning to struggle, and that's why, because he's got right side end plate damage.
Yeah, I just caught that actually myself as well. We hit the wall coming through the castle section through turn 9, just slapped the wall on the outside and has broken his front wing. So that is him now going to drop down the field. What do Lars and Midnight do about this? They've got to get past the McLaren as quickly as possible. We're seeing a lot of drivers getting very aggressive over that curb and almost paying the price for it on the exit, slapping the wall big time and just about getting away with it. One driver though that looks like they might be on the move, actually 2 drivers, both of the WR drivers. Lars on the back of Will here for a move down the straight. Riss is going to try to do the same on Midnight as well. Will's not going to make it difficult though for Lars. He knows he's got that front wing damage, he can't fight this one too hard, and he's actually going to come into the pit lane as well. Yep. So from 4th place, dives into the pits. That puts Lars then up into 4th, Midnight up into 5th, and Reese up into 6th. 2 CRG drivers now in the top 5. Mitchell leads, but Duncan with the fastest lap of the race.
Yeah, Duncan with the fastest lap of the race, and look at the top 3. They pulled away 2.2 seconds as well, so everyone's now stuck behind the WR train, you could call it out, on track, with Lars in 4th, Risa there in 6th, Midnight splitting the pair. And Midnight has got some very good pace about him, and actually looks towards the inside line towards turn 3. Don't think he'll risk it too soon. Risa on the back of this as well. Lars nearly hits the wall on the rear right tyre, actually. Hits the wall coming through turn 3. Risa will be right on board with as well. Will LG, of course, into the pit lane. Luckily ahead of Modestraw, luckily ahead of Harry Banks. He's well ahead of them, and he's in clear air, which is absolutely crucial. Suku trying to get involved in the action as well. The Williams right in behind on the Haas, and the Dane is under pressure, of course, from Suku the pole. Kazizzle just in behind as well. The new signing to Shazoo in recent weeks, but Kazizzle in 8th position. Jensen ahead of just Jensen, I should say, in behind him in 9th. But as they come through the castle section for the 3rd time, Mitchie there, right on board with him, leading the way. Duncan in 2nd, Blizzard in 3rd, and again, it looks as if these guys are beginning to pull away. They've got the natural pace, they've got that DRS train as well, they've got the toe to really pull away from these guys. Lars and Midnight 4th and 5th, Risa there in 6th, but it looks like almost Lars and Midnight are beginning to get away from Risa, and I wonder if Risa's got any slight damage on that car.
It's very possible. We obviously, the damage level we have on this game means there's a lot of damage we can't see on our end, so it's going to be difficult to notice if anybody is struggling. We've got to keep an eye as well on those on that alternate strategy. Chiquita and Xander doing a brilliant job of holding on to the back of the soft runners at the moment, not struggling for pace at all. Chiquita,
it's Duncan.
Yeah, Duncan going for the move then for the lead of the race on Mitchie, going to go down the inside of the corner. No real contest at all there, up to the lead of the race. And in the background, a strategic move, I think, from Lars into the pit lane at the end of lap 3. That's a very early pit stop from the Haasman. I don't think he picked up any damage unless he picked it up down the straight somehow. There doesn't seem to be a front wing ready for him at all in the pit lane. So yeah, this is a strategic call from Lars. It's in at the end of lap 3.
23 laps as well on a set of medium compound tyres is going to be quite tough to try and get around, but Duncan is through and he's into the lead of the race. We saw Midnight as well past Rita in all of that as well, so he's through and he's into 4th position, but Duncan leading the way, Mitchie in 2nd, Blizzard in 3rd, and yeah, you were right, Lars has came out ahead of Will G, which is crucial. Will G, of course, had that pit stop because of that front wing damage that he picked up and sustained at the top of the hill through the castle section, but Lars, 8.4 seconds now behind Gil. VRT are struggling currently, 15th and 17th, but remember, every single point counts. Every single position counts here in the PSGL and VRT Esports Cup event. Really hope, as I say, you're enjoying this. But Lars, coming out of the pit lane, 23 laps on a set of mediums. I think they're going to struggle.
I don't think that's possible, if I'm completely honest. I don't think he's going to get those to the end of the race. If he's going for a two-stop or maybe predicting a safety car, I mean, we know it's Baku. Safety cars are almost inevitable at this track. So if he's predicted a safety car, that could work out well for him. But he's going to have to wait for everybody else to come into the pit lane and then hope the safety car comes up then so that he can capitalise on it. It's a really risky strategy. We'll see how it plays out for him. One person to note as well, while it's going pretty well for Mitchie at the front of the field, unfortunately it's not going quite so well for his TTG teammate Vexen. Vexen was battling Xander a couple of laps ago. I think he went for a move on Xander and it didn't pay off, and in the end got mugged by the 3 drivers behind him, Fusillo, Yon and Nathan, all past him very, very quickly. Yeah, Blizzard's into the pit lane as well, so a lot of drivers reacting to other drivers around. Suku's in as well for Shizu, so 2 drivers in. So either these drivers think they can get those medium tyres a long way into this race, or maybe the two-stop strategy is the way to go.
Yeah, maybe two-stop strategy is the way to go. Suku's obviously into the pit lane as well, and he's going to put onto a set of medium compound tyres. Of course, the Williams crew right down the end of the pit lane, and Blizzard has came out ahead of Lars, which is absolutely crucial. But what can Blizzard do on this set of medium compound tyres? Are they now fresh enough to try and get towards the end of the race? Is the tyre wear going to be on his side? Vexham at the back of the DRS train, by the way, in 12th position. He's looking for a move on the back of the 2 MNT boys, Johan and Nathan. First time we've actually looked at the MNT boys, of course, out on track, both in the Alpine, both, of course, a French team. Not surprised that they have gone for that car whatsoever. But Johan in 10th, Nathan in 11th, and of course they qualified quite high. Did Team Mentalism. Oh, as Vexham nearly runs into the back, actually, of Nathan in towards turn 7. Good on the brakes, though, and Vexham avoids contact through the castle section. We come. Oh, as he nearly catches through the castle section. Vexham seems to be trying to take as much track limit as possible at the expense, maybe, of his car.
Yeah, he's really, really pushing it. The problem is, I think you can see maybe a little bit of frustration creeping in. He's got the pace at this point in the race, but we've mentioned it earlier on, the DRS trains means that there's not really anywhere for him to go unless the driver in front makes a mistake, which at the moment, neither Nathan or Yon look like they're going to make a mistake. They're just driving within themselves at the moment, keeping themselves in that DRS train as they should do. So really, really difficult for Vexham to try and force an error from one of these drivers. It's not going to happen, really, at this point in the race. It's so early on. As Duncan, our race leader, I think, is into the pit lane, and so is Mitchie. So our top 2 into the pit lane. Midnight comes in as well. Rhys stays out from 4th place on the track. He continues on the soft compound tyres. Jensen's gone with him. So Jensen in the Ferrari, now up in 2nd place. That means that Chiquita on that alternate strategy runs in 3rd, and you can already see Chiquita now is really hounding the back of Jensen. Those medium tyres seem to be the better tyre already.
Yeah, the Italian run on the back of the Brit, of course. Jensen really under pressure from Nikita, and Nikita, of course, was one of that partnership that qualified OP for the actual event, for round 1 of the championship, of course, here in Azerbaijan. And of course, 9 rounds to come after this. We'll show you the calendar at the end of the stream. But Risa leads the way. Jensen in 2nd, Nikita in 3rd. Lars, interesting though, has got ahead of Mitchie coming out the pit lane. And that was coming through in towards turn number 3. So Lars is through and he's into P12. Mitchie there down into P13. So the undercut clearly working an absolute treat. Around a 6-kilometre circle like Azerbaijan, undercuts obviously work. Blizzard is well ahead of these guys as well in a net P2 at the moment. Duncan there in P10 at the moment, but he's in the net lead of the race as Vexham has actually left the session. So a bit of a disconnect there from Vexham's end. Hopefully he'll be able to get rejoin back in if he can. Risa though out on top, Jensen in 2nd. Both the guys on the set of softs though, they're beginning to hold up this medium train. And look, Duncan's only 2.5 seconds behind Gil, and he's going to be pretty much on the back of this train if these guys don't put in within 2 laps.
Yeah, it's going to be very, very close. The problem, of course, for the likes of Duncan and Blizzard at this point in the race is that they've got so many medium runners in front of them that aren't going to pit for quite a while, you would imagine. At least, well, if they're doing the one stop, they're going to be going for, well, at least another 10 laps if they're going to go for the soft compound tyres, at least at this point in the race. So it's going to be a struggle for them to get through these fields. Mitch, by the way, Yeah, stays out, continues. Jensen's into the pit lane, but Reese obviously going for something a little bit different. He obviously thinks as Chiquita's going to go for the move here into turn 1. Gets it done, yeah, nicely done, and that puts a car between himself and the rest of those drivers on that outer strategy. Look at that lap though from Blizzard, of 41.4, miles faster than what we're seeing from the front of the field at this point in the race. That's worked nicely for Chiquita. It's not working so nicely for Reese at the moment either, as Will LG comes in and beats that lap time himself as well. With Xander, a late dive down the inside, but that was never going to work. The braking zone for turn 3 is just too short. He gets away without making any contact. A little bit of contact a bit further down though.
Yeah, Vasilo ran into the back of Xander there, going in towards turn 4, and he was really under pressure. I think Vasilo has probably got the pace compared to Xander. Vexen, by the way, is dropping down the field because of his disconnect. Vasilo looks like he's quicker than Xander and Risa at this stage of the race, but of course, it's really, really good race so far. Yukita out on top, Risa second, Xander in third, Vasilo in fourth. For Risa, they're in second, Xander in third, Fasilo in fourth. As I say, Fasilo, the Italian, looks like he's got the pace. Risa was actually a bit struggling. I thought he had left side end plate damage actually coming out of turn 12. He doesn't. Blizzard now through on Vexen, dropping down the field, of course, as a result of that disconnect. For Risa, they're in second position, Xander there in third, Fasilo there in fourth. They're all chomping at the bit. Risa's holding these guys up. Yukita's now beginning to get away, and Yukita could be the one, longer term, that actually tries to undercut the likes of Duncan.
Yeah, it just goes to show how little pace Reese's got at this point in the race. Chiquita passed him at the first corner. He's nearly 2 seconds ahead already. He's just flown away at the front of the field. Xander here, it's not going to be an issue at all. I think Reese is bailing on this strategy. He's coming in now at the end of this lap, but I still think that's not going to be... I still think that's too early for that one-stop strategy. Another 19 laps on the mediums is not really much more than those that have already pitted. They're going to have to do. So that's not really worked out in his favour at all for Reese, that one has. What it has done is let Chiquita gap the rest of these drivers. So Xander's got to really push now to try and get back within range of Chiquita. The problem is they're both completely out of ERS.
They are both completely out of ERS, and yeah, Yukita 1.2 seconds away. It looks like Xander, though, is just dragging Fasilo along. Johan, remembers, involved in this as well, and the Team Mentalism driver, he's beginning to pick up the pace as well, the Frenchman, and Nathan in behind as well. The two Frenchmen looks like they're beginning to get into this, and Xander and Fasilo obviously haven't got the pace in this race. They haven't got that ERS strategy, of course, out on track. Nobody, by the way, has picked up any penalties so far. Asuku is now through on Vexen. I was a little bit laughing, by the way. Vexen was trying to get through on Michi, turning towards turn 1. The AI nearly overtook him, but then he lost a couple of positions as a result of his disconnect. Just a funny moment that I picked up on. Yukita, though, leading the way. Xander in second, Fasilo in third. The yellow flag in sector 3 is Modestroll, I think, who was lost into the wall.
Yeah, he has. This is going to be his third pit stop of the race, unfortunately, for Modestroll. It's been an absolute disaster for both of the FVR drivers. They've been
he's
crashed in the pit lane. Far too fast into the pit lane with no front wing. He's crashed the car in the pit lane, and that is his race over and done with. I think we're going to get away without any sort of safety car because that was in the pit lane. So lucky in that sense, but yeah, just pushing far too hard without a front wing, and that's his race over and done with. And that is our first driver out of it, which means that we've already got a driver that's not going to be scoring any points here tonight.
Yeah, and that means now everyone is guaranteed a minimum of 2 points out on track, which will be great. Fasilo now on the back of Xander. Yeah, looks to the inside line. Down the straight he goes. Absolutely sails on by. Fasilo is through, and he's into second position. It's now an OP 1-2, and how the guys at OP will be liking this. But they've got to watch out in behind. Duncan responds to Blizzard's fastest lap of the race, and it's a 40.9 from him. And Nathan, I think, has just let him through. And that's probably the wisest thing to do. You were going to get overtaken anyways, but Duncan is through, and he's into P5. Nathan thinking, no, I don't want anything to do with this. Duncan through, and he's into 5th.
Yeah, Duncan up into 5th place, like you say. He's low on ERS as well now, so it's going to be a little bit of a struggle for him when he catches his drivers in front. They're all now within...
Blizzard tries to go around the outside of turn 3 and behind, and Gil nearly makes contact with him. VRT against CRG. Down the inside, Blizzard not hangs around. He's through, and he's into P7. Lovely stuff.
Yeah, brilliant move. That was really, really risky from Blizzard, but he gets it done in the end anyway. Up into 7th place, still in a net second position. By the way, just didn't mention it earlier on, Michi was actually held in the pit lane. Obviously, Mercedes being the first car in the pit lane, Midnight came into the pit lane behind him, and the AlphaTauri actually ended up holding up the Mercedes, which is why he's so far down at this point in the race. He's still in a net 3rd position. He's managed to get past Lars and Suku after his pit stop. So he's back up into a net 3rd and chasing down Blizzard. But these guys now, Blizzard's now 3.6 seconds behind Duncan. Duncan's really used this phase of the race to gap the rest of the drivers on the same strategy as him. He's got through the traffic much quicker than everybody else, but now he is on the back of a 4-car train of DRS. This is going to be really difficult now for Duncan to try and make an impression.
Yeah, but he has got those fresher tyres, remember, and he's probably at around, I'd say, 20% fresher tyres than the guys ahead. Yukita obviously leading the way. Facilo in second. Xander now picks up the DRS on the back of Facilo. He's getting dragged along into the VSR, man, but he's not going to be close enough down and towards turn 1. We remain as we are on lap 10 out of 26. Nearly couldn't get my words out there again. Yukita leads the way. Facilo in second. Mitchie now through on Geel, running halfway down the straight, down and towards turn 1. Mitchie through and he's into P8, and he needed that move, to be honest. He's got a lap fresher tyres than Blizzard. Lars is in behind on this as well. Everyone now is pretty much going to get through Geel, because Geel is now holding up everyone. Lars is going to look to try and get this move done down and towards turn 3. We'll run above the Haas. As he does so, the McLaren just in front, you can see the red light flashing. That's less than 10% of EOS running down the straight, and Lars to the outside line, needed like Blizzard coming through turn 3. Round the outside he goes on fresher tyres, should get the move done. He's on the inside now for turn 4. Lovely stuff by Lars. WR showing how it's done, and Lars is through and he's into 9th position, but Geel is still trying to fight back on the inside line for 6. Doesn't get the move done. Lars is now through and he's into 9th.
Yeah,
as Duncan's making the move done on Johan.
Wow, turn 7, that's a bold move there from the VSR man, and he's up into 4th position, and now he's right behind his teammate, so that's not going to be a problem for Duncan. You would imagine Xander is going to let Duncan through at some point, maybe down the pit straight, maybe down in towards turn 15. We might see a shift in position here, so we'll ride with the Azerbaijan man and see if Xander does move out of the way. He does not move out of the way down into 15, but don't be surprised if we see it at some point down the next couple of straights. You can see Duncan so much more committed to the curbs there through turn 15, hops over them when everyone else around him doesn't seem to want to be able to touch them. So Duncan's just got so much more confidence in his car at this point in the race. We're only 10 laps into this race, and already Duncan is nearly back to the front of the field.
He is nearly at the back of the front of the field as well. And Facilo, the 2 OP guys as well. It's OP and VSL 1, 2, 3, 4. And then Team Mentalism at 5 and 6. It looks like Yukita is coming into the pit lane. The Italian is now in. Oh, actually, he doesn't come into the pit lane. Duncan, however, on the back of his teammate, gets the move done. Down in towards turn 1. Xander moves out the way swiftly. And he's now got Johan to deal with him behind as well. But Duncan, the king of Baku, as he's being called in the comments section, is now through. And he's into P3. And, of course, Duncan showed really good promise around here when we last came to Baku, of course, in PSGL. He's in P3 at the minute. Of course, Youst won that race. Duncan, won that race. Facilo though out on top, Yukita in second, Duncan in third. Further down the field, though, Blizzard looks to me down the inside line, in towards turn 3. Lovely jump. Oh, and Nathan nearly loses the car, but lovely jump. Blizzard's through, and he's into P6. And Duncan is trying to make a move on Yukita down towards turn 5 of all places. Lovely stuff, and Duncan through, and he's into 5th. These guys really take risks, but they're getting rewarded.
Yeah, doing a brilliant job is Duncan on these fresh tyres. They're only 6 laps older than the drivers around them on the medium compact tyres, but it's making such a difference at this point in the race. The tyre wear much higher than I think a lot of these drivers were maybe expecting, at least especially what we were expecting. Ooh. The tyre wear seems to be very high. It's big contact a bit further down. Yeah, Nathan's hit the wall, I think, or maybe just got out of the way there. Mitchie has hit the wall in the process as well. Lars is right up behind him now as well. Lars has really lost pace with Blizzard and Mitchie. Blizzard and Mitchie have kind of disappeared a little bit up the road from him, and there is Nathan moving out of the way of almost everyone behind him there, I think, recognising he doesn't want to get in anybody's way, especially down that fast back straight where front wing damage can really cause you issues. So he drops into 12th, and we'll probably see him into the pit lane at the end of this lap as well. That is a real shame for the Mentalism driver. Was having a solid race up until that point, but now it's Jon left to really fend for himself at the front of the field now.
Yeah, of course, Duncan, though, right on the back of Facilo, and Facilo looks like an absolute sitting duck, because here comes the flying Dutchman of PS4. Duncan now down the inside line, gets the move done for the lead of the race, and a seriously impressive pace from Duncan at the minute. Facilo now down to second, but Duncan through, and he's into the lead of the race. Nathan into the pit lane, and he had a massive snap of oversteer, which is the moment I call on board with coming through the castle section. He was in front of Mitchie, I think, and Mitchie just managed to get the move done. Lars was in behind on that as well. Blizzard now through on Johan. Facilo tries to come back. Everything now kicking off. Blizzard is through, though, and he's into P5. But look at how far he's now behind. He's roughly around 3.5 seconds behind Duncan at this stage. And Blizzard has caught the traffic at the wrong time. Whereas Duncan, because he made that lap earlier pit stop, I should say, he has been rewarded rightly as Kazizel has picked up a 5-second penalty for crossing the pit lane exit white line, and that, I believe, is down to the Williams glitch around here, which obviously, if the AI takes control of the car, or the human takes control of the car, it crosses the white line and the exit of the pit, so that 5-second penalty might get removed.
Yeah, it might get removed for him, but unfortunately that pit stop came because he hit the wall. in the middle part of the lap, unfortunately. He was running on a similar strategy to the likes of Suku, his teammate, as Midnight around him, but he ended up hitting the wall himself and breaking his front wing. So that's an out-of-time pit stop, unfortunately, for Kazizel. He's now well out of position, down with Harry Banks at the back of the field, and Vexen still not back in his car, unfortunately, just in front of him on the road. Duncan leads. He's not, interestingly, not broken DRS to Facillo yet, so Facillo's clinging on to the back of the Aston Martin man for the time being, and Nikita, though, I think is actually just going to lose DRS to his teammate. So whilst that's going to help Fusillo, it's actually going to hinder his OP teammate, and Nikita is solo when DRS is actually at 0 before we've even hit the DRS line. So he's really struggling for straight line speed. Blizzard's got past Xander easily down towards turn 1, no contest there. Blizzard up to 4th, and Nikita's going to be a complete sitting duck for the AlphaTauri man.
Yeah, and just in behind as well, Suku and Midnight make 2 positions on Geel, so they're through into P9 and 10 respectively. Midnight had a lot of pace. Nearly, I thought it was going to be 3 wide and towards turn 1, but it doesn't get the move done. Blizzard right on the back of Yakita, running down and towards turn 3 as well. And now he switches the inside line, the AlphaTauri is through, and he's into 3rd position. We'll flick back on with Michi, who makes the move done on Johan, and he's through now. And he's into P6, so the German is absolutely flying through the field as well. And it looks to me it could be between these 3 guys, Duncan, Blizzard and Mitchie are probably the 3 guys to look out for. Everyone else has got to make a pit stop in and around them. Johan there in 7th. Lars, interesting though, 8 lap all tyres. He came in first out of everyone else. And those tyres are already beginning to pay the price. I mean, he can't even catch the Johan at this stage.
Yeah, it's really, really struggling. Suku, Midnight and Gil still right behind him as well. Of course, Gil hasn't made a pit stop, but it's somewhat levelled out, interestingly, for a lot of those that haven't pitted yet. They've kind of gone through a real phase of struggling on their mediums, and now all of a sudden they're kind of coming back to life again. It's a little bit bizarre, because Fusillo now is clinging onto the back of Duncan really, really nicely. Duncan can't get away from the Red Bull man. He's hitched onto the back of the Aston Martin man very, very nicely, and Blizzard is just starting to creep towards them at this point in the race. Blizzard actually managed to get through that traffic a little bit better than Duncan in the end, got through it a little bit quicker, and the gap is now down to about 2.5 seconds rather than the 3.5 it was about 5 or 6 laps ago. So that's played out in Blizzard's favour. Now it's Mitchie's turn to do the same, and he's down the inside of Xander. They're both struggling with ERS management. A lot of drivers struggling with ERS management here tonight. Mitchie down the inside, nothing Xander can do. He breaks early, backs out of it. Mitchie is up into 5th, and we will likely see Mitchie pass Yukita down towards turn 3 as well. Yukita is still really struggling for ERS management. He had a great start to the race, did Yukita, but unfortunately he's just not had the same pace or the same tyre management as his OP teammate in the second half so far.
Yeah, and Mitchie makes the move done on Yukita down and towards turn 3 as well. So Mitchie is getting 2 positions in about as many corners then. The German now beginning to pick up the pace. And he's only 1.4 seconds behind Blizzard. Blizzard about 2.5 seconds off the lead at this stage. But yeah, you mentioned Facilo really keeping up with Duncan at this stage. Of course, these guys play their trade really in PSGL F1. This is where they do all their business here in PSGL. And Duncan and Facilo, obviously 2 different ends of the spectrum when it comes to the championship at the minute, because Duncan's at the top end, Facilo's around the mid-pack. But Duncan, interestingly, Facilo looks like he's beginning to come back with those tyres. I seem of it, to be honest. They get their second win, the tyres, and then they drop off completely. That's what I saw in the last game, certainly around here in Baku. But Facilo there in second position. We're halfway through, by the way. Duncan leads the way for Facilo in second, Blizzard in third. Everyone, 19 drivers still going around on the track, which is absolutely fantastic. Really hope you guys are enjoying it, of course, at home or wherever you may be watching this from around the world. But Duncan leads the way, Facilo in second. It looks as if, though, the battles are going to develop further down the field. Johan, Xander, Yukita, those guys haven't came into the pit stops yet. P5, P6, P7, I think that one is about to kick off. Facilo, though, on the back of Duncan, not going to get the move done. Xander, however, beginning to bridge that gap, and Yukita's struggling. The Italian now struggling, the Dutchman now in behind is going to try and get this move done. Down in towards someone, he's coming very, very late on indeed. The Aston Martin cuts the inside line, down in towards 1. Lars and Suku are interestingly going for the 2-stop. They're into the pit lane, but Xander is through, and he's into P5, Yukita and P6, Johan and P7. And is it me, or is it beginning to get a lot cloudier out on track?
Yeah, definitely looks a little bit cloudy, doesn't it? Could you imagine if we get a little bit of weather interference at the end of this race? That would really spice things up at the end of this one. But yeah, Xander easily through. Yukita's really struggling now on his medium compound tyres, unfortunately. Yon is now right behind him as well, when we've still got Midnight not too far back on a fresh set of medium compound tyres. What's really interesting, Duncan, Blizzard and Mitchie, they are, I think, very clearly on a 2-stop strategy. They're making this 2-stop strategy work. They're back up to the front of the field, pretty much, where they were, apart from Fusilli obviously still running in that second position. The other drivers that have gone for the same strategy as them haven't really been able to make it work the same. Midnight is not really making the impression on the drivers in front. Jensen's not making the impression either. Rista, after that late stop from the soft compound tyres, is well out of position compared to where he was. We've already seen Lars and Suku make another pit stop. So it's kind of on the bubble really as to what is the fastest strategy, starting outside of the top 10 and going for the one stop, or starting inside the top 10 and going for the two stop. It's really been a split at the moment, and I think that cliff you've mentioned in terms of pace, I think has just hit Fusillo, because all of a sudden he's now 1.5 seconds back and has lost that DRS, and because of that he's now run out of ERS completely as well to latch onto the back of him. So Blizzard now has got a massive advantage over the Red Bull, and it's going to close in very quickly.
Yeah, he will, and Blizzard 1.4 seconds in behind as a result. On board with Jensen, however, on the back of the Frenchman Gil, and Gil now under pressure from Jensen. This is going to be, might be the easiest move you'll see all night. It's not even halfway down the straight, this move. Jensen is turning into P9. The IFR, man, really impressive, I've got to say. Harry Banks on the other end, of course, with a split strategy, but Jensen now through and he's into P9. Really impressing. And IFR, of course, were the underdogs. Can he get those tyres possibly towards the end of the race? Who knows, to be honest. We could be talking punctures. We could even be talking rain towards the end of the race. And I wonder, actually, if that is why those guys came in. Lars and Suku both came in for a set of mediums, as Midnight is now through, and he's into P7 on Johan. I think Johan just gave up on that 15-lap old tyres, Midnight through, and he's into P7. But I wonder if those guys, Lars and Suku, think there's going to be rain towards the end of the race, because the cloud cover's now come over. We're more than 15 minutes out from the end of the race, and if there's rain in about 10 or 15 minutes, it's going to be around lap 22, 23.
Yeah, it's going to be right towards the end of the race. And of course, we've seen in past, obviously the rain on this game it's a little bit difficult to predict, isn't it? We don't know what the rain can really be. It could be really light rain that doesn't really have that much of an effect, or it can come down in an instant and completely change the track conditions. So it's hard to predict what's going to happen. If you're staying out there now, like Duncan, if you think there's going to be rain coming, if you were Duncan, you've probably got to stay out on the track. You don't want to lose track position. And then if you have to pit for the intermediate tyres, you end up being the 5th or 6th car in a queue of intermediate runners. That would be a really difficult position for him to be in. The likes of Fusillo, though, will be stuck in a really difficult situation. Their tyres are done. You've seen all that last lap. It was 1.4 at this point in the last lap round. He's lost 1.5 seconds in a lap. That dropping out of DRS range has completely ruined his battle now with Duncan, and he's got Blizzard right behind. Blizzard now coming for the move down the inside. Fusillo moves to the right-hand side, doesn't put up a fight. Blizzard down the inside, back onto the racing line. He's up into second position, and Mitchie is just in behind as well. Probably not close enough for a move into turn 3, but he will be able to make a move maybe a bit further down, as Nikita has got back past Xander. So Nikita and Xander swapping positions, but look at that, they're now 6 seconds off the back of Mitchie already, as Mitchie does get the move on with Fusillo. Fusillo got a really poor run out of turn 2, and Mitchie is up into 3rd place again.
Yeah, and Xander's looking to try and repay the favour on the back of Nikita, nearly bump drafted him down the straight. Midnight's going to try and pick what run to go with. There's been a collision, by the way, down in turn 2, and that is Lars, and Will LG is the one that spun around. I think there was a Haas involved in that as well, but Midnight on the back of Nikita. Nikita now really under pressure, the Italian from Midnight, and Midnight in behind. Tries to look to get this move done, doesn't, but Will LG now round coming through turn 2 and has got no front wing damage. I think he just went straight on, maybe a lock up in towards 2.
Will J, I think, had a spin coming out of the corner. Unfortunately, did the McLaren man. I don't know if there was any contact. I don't think there was. I think he just dropped the car on his own, unfortunately. Did Will, was the WOR driver swap places. Reese is actually the one without the front wing. Interestingly, the Haas man hasn't got a front wing at all, so maybe there was contact between Reese and maybe Will LG. Gil was also really struggling in the other McLaren. I think he's also got front wing damage, so there might have been a collision between the 2 McLarens possibly and the Hassman of Reese.
No!
Oh, that's not going to work at all. And that is Gil into the wall, forced into the wall, trying to go 3 wide through that corner with 2 drivers with damaged front wings. That was never going to work at all. Suku made it through, but he forced the issue on the other 2 drivers. They ended up both in the wall. They're still going in a race, which is crucial, but that's put even more damage on the front of Gil's race. And so far, this race has been pretty much an absolute disaster, really, hasn't it, for the VRT drivers?
Yeah, it has, and VRT not going to be impressed, I don't think, with the performances so far, but of course, 9 rounds to go in the championship. This is just the first round. Come back stronger next week in France, and it'll be all to play for once again. But Duncan leading the way, Blizzard in second, and age-old battle as Jensen, I think, had a push to pass there on Nikita, or Nikita actually locked up in towards turn 2, and now Johan is running side by side with him down in towards 3. We saw Midnight, by the way, get the move done as well on Xander, down the inside, just in front of camera shot through, and he's into P5, and now Johan is soon he's into P8 as well. Plenty of moves being made. Risa and Gil, as you mentioned, both with damage, both into the pit lane. Nikita's still, again, on the back of Johan, but the Frenchman is through, and Mars is the Italian at this stage. But they have got Lars, who's 8.5 seconds behind, on that fresh set of medium compounded tyres. It's not going to take that long for Lars to get onto the back of this, because everyone now is seemingly beginning to struggle. Oh, and it's raining out on track! It's actually beginning to rain out on track! That is why people are now beginning to struggle. It is raining out on track here in Baku, and I literally said about 5 minutes ago, if the rain comes around 22, 23, it's even earlier than this. Surely we're getting intermediate running towards the end of the race.
Yeah, we've got to see now how much rain comes down at this point. It's very light at this point in the race, so we're not going to see anybody into the pit lane. But does it stay like this and just stay as dry compound tyres, or does it get heavier? Do we get intermediate conditions? It's going to be so difficult for these drivers to call. The problem is as well, if you don't come in on one lap and the conditions change, this track is so long that you could lose so much time by staying out another lap or coming in a lap too early. You could lose so much time. So that's going to be a real risk for some of these drivers. Is further down. Jensen's going to get the move done on Xander, easily done, and he's up into 6th place. He's chasing down Midnight in 5th place. Like you said, what a run so far this has been for Jensen at the moment. He's the 5th man in the road on this strategy, starting inside the top 10. I think he started 10th. He's now running in that 6th position. He's had a really, really good race so far. Yoan's into the pit lane. It's for soft compound tyres. So he's come in for a set of soft compound tyres. Even those mediums were close to puncturing, or he doesn't think the rain's going to rain hard enough. It's so difficult to call, because at the moment, it's not intermediate conditions. The rain's not raining hard enough. So we'll have to wait to see. The person that we've got to keep an eye on, though, is Fusillo at this point in the race. 18-lap-old medium compound tyres. Those tyres are going to be screaming at this point in the race. Does he hold out for the rain, or does the rain not come and he have to pit for soft compound tyres?
To be honest, the rain is not coming down heavy enough to have an impact on the track at this stage. I mean, it's lap 19 out of 26. It's Duncan leading the way. It's Blizzard in second. It's Mitchie in third. But for CeeLo, as you say, on that 18-lap-old medium compounded tyres, you can see with the wide-out camera shot, it is not really affecting the track. It is greasy, I would say, but it is not affecting the track that much. And for CeeLo, obviously, has got to make a judgment call. Does he come in for a set of softs? Does he come in for another set of what mediums or hards, maybe, just to see him through towards the end of the race? But for CeeLo, in 4th position, I can see a comment, by the way, saying about the mic. Yeah, really sorry about my mic quality, by the way, guys. I don't know what is happening. Aiden might be better to commentate through the final couple of laps of the race than me. Really apologize. As I say, it's a loose connection. I don't know what's going on. I've changed controllers earlier on in the stream. Nothing seems to be working, and that is why you're getting robotic quality for myself here tonight. Mr. James Head and Aiden Carter, of course, taking you through the stream is now Jensen. Looks to the inside line on the back of Midnight, and Jensen is through, and he's into P5. Midnight through, down into P6 as well, and Johan is already making moves down in towards 19 and 20. Well, G really struggling. The rain beginning to fall a little bit heavier, maybe out on track, but the softs now on the back of the medium compounded tyre, and Johan is going to be through, and he's into 11th position. Johan now through on that set of softs. Will G has no response, and the Alpine is through, and he's into 11th.
Yeah, good move there from Yoan as well. Keeping an eye on Lars as well. We said a couple laps ago he was 8 seconds off that back of Cuba cars in front. He's already down to 1.5 seconds behind Nikita. He's absolutely flying in comparison to the Red Bull in front. What a drop-off this has been for Nikita, unfortunately. He was running up with his teammate about 10 laps ago and is now over 10 seconds behind, close to 15 seconds behind his teammate. Really hasn't worked out in his favour at all, unfortunately for him, and Lars catching at well over 2 seconds a lap at this point in the race. He'll be through, and there you go. Nikita losing the rear of the car big time there, coming out of turn 6, nearly spinning the car as well. So gets going again, but doesn't manage to hit the wall, although we nearly hit the wall there coming through turn 7, and Lars gets moved on before the castle section there. So that just goes to show how much Nikita is struggling at this point in the race on those tyres. I think the rain is starting to get a little bit heavier now. It looks like the drivers are sliding around a lot more at this point in the race. No one is really running anywhere close to any personal best times at this point in the race. Duncan having to lift off there through turn 19. I think it's getting close to the time for intermediate compound tyres. We've got 6 laps to go when we cross the line, not long to go. Duncan stays out for another lap. What do the drivers behind do? Blizzard stays out as well. Mitchie continues on. So the top 3 continue on, and so does Fusillo. The top 4 continue on then. Jensen the next one to come across the line. But you can start to see the rain now bouncing off the track. So we're not far away. We're maybe only a couple of laps away from intermediates, as Chiquito, I think, has spun the car. No, that's, I believe, Gil that spun the car again. So yet again, the McLaren man has gone for a spin.
And Xander's into the pit lane. Xander is into the pit lane. I think this might be the right time, to be honest, to come in for a set of intermediate condition tyres. And it is softs. He disappoints me. Xander is into the pit lane. 100% of soft compounded tyres. But look at the rain. It is coming down heavy in the pit lane, and you can tell that is going to be the factor. Is DRS going to be disabled in just a couple of laps' time? I have got a new headset, by the way, so hopefully that is a little bit better. Duncan needs to out Blizzard in second, Mitchie in third. Lap 21 out of 26. Still 5 laps to go after this one. Duncan, though, holding his own out in front. And to be honest, Blizzard just doesn't seem to have the pace to try and live up to Duncan. But you can see Mitchie really struggling. And do you know what? I honestly think it's not too far away from intermediates.
No, I don't think so either. We can see from our end, might not be able to translate on stream, but we can see from our end, you can see the raindrops bouncing off the track. It is getting a lot wetter. We're not far away at all, like you say. Duncan coping with the conditions well at the front of the field. He's actually gapped Blizzard by a little bit more in these previous laps. It's now up to 4.5 seconds. As in the background there, you can see Blizzard dropping down the hill with Mitchie just behind. I'm still amazed with Fusillo here, how much pace he's holding in those 20-lap-old medium compound tyres. He's doing a sterling job in that Red Bull. 6.5 seconds clear of Jensen further behind, who's pulled away from Midnight as well. So doing a really solid job. We've got 2 drivers on intermediates. Risa and Kazizel are on the intermediate compound tyres. Kazizel unfortunately has crossed that pit line again, so we'll see what happens for him.
They're coming in.
They're going to come into the pit now. I'm just running on board with Reese here, and he's got Gil right in front of him on fresh, soft compound tyres. So that is a great judge of pace at this point in the race. And at this point, they're pretty much matching each other. So it's right on the crossover point.
It is right on the crossover point. What does Blizzard and Mitchie do? Mitchie's onto a set of inters. Blizzard is onto a set of inters. Frasilo's onto a set of inters. Duncan's still out there in front on a set of mediums, and he'll be God hoping that the set of medium compounded tyres will last him possibly to the end of the race if the track does not get wet enough. But look at it, the track looks wet enough. DRS is surely going to be disabled very soon. Indeed, it's Blizzard actually locks him into turn 2, and I can't believe it. He's needing to go in the run-off area, and Blizzard has lost P2 to Mitchie, and Mitchie's now through into P2. Blizzard in P3, Fasilo in P4. Now Fasilo has got the run on the back of Blizzard. Now look, down in towards turn number 3, the Red Bull and the Alpha Tauri, the 2 sister cars, fighting side by side. Blizzard a little bit later on the brakes. I think he's just going to make it move sick, but he's through and he's into P3. Interesting though, Duncan pulling away from Mitchie. Medium's currently working, but for how long?
Yeah, it's going to be so difficult really for Duncan here. You can just see on board with him, he just can't get the car turned in. He's just washing across the track. It's not working for him at the moment, but it's not working for the intermediate tyre runners either. We're right on that crossover point where neither tyre seems to be working on board with Mitchie. There's the DRS disabled. There it is. With about a sector to go for Duncan, DRS has been disabled, and Mitchie now is taking chunks of time out of Duncan in the middle part of the lap. He's taken already a second out of him in the middle sector, and we're still not done with the middle sector time yet, so Mitchie is flying now. Duncan here might have left it a lap too late. I think Mitchie's timed this to perfection. Look at the time coming down. 24.0 through the next corner. We could be down by another half a second. Mitchie's really flying on the intermediate tyres through the next corner. Yeah, it's coming down by tenths. Look at that, 23.8. So Duncan into the pit lane now. He's got to make sure he doesn't hit the wall in the pit lane entry. Gets the car stopped nicely, gets into the pit lane so he's safe in. But has Mitchie played this to perfection and got back into the lead of this race? The problem for him is that Blizzard and Fusillo were right there to capitalise on it as well.
I think Duncan's fine. I think Duncan will be out about 2.5 seconds ahead, possibly of Mitchie, maybe even further than that. He's at the end of the pit lane now. Mitchie and Blizzard are approaching turn 1 along with Fasilo, and Blizzard tries to get them moved on the back of Mitchie. Mitchie now, the German, under pressure from the Brit, nearly going straight line in towards turn 1 does Mitchie. Blizzard on the inside line, but Duncan is well ahead. 5 seconds is the gap. What did I talk about? 2 seconds. Blizzard now down the inside line, and Mitchie nearly put into the wall, and there's a bit of contact between the TTG man and the CRG man. Blizzard a little bit of a love tap on the rear end, and now that brings Vasilo into play, and he tries to get this in the middle of the sandwich. Now side by side, and he's 3 wide in towards turn number 3, but Blizzard is through and he's into P2. Whether that's just a push to pass remains to be seen, but given the conditions, might have to let him off on that one. Blizzard is through and he's into P2. Mitchie down to P3, and Vasilo from being 9/10 down approaching turn 1, he's now right on the back of them.
Yes, what it's also doing as well, these 3 battling is bringing Jensen into it. Jensen's half the gap in the last lap and a half between the drivers, now only 3.3 seconds back. More carnage is happening as well at turn 2. We had Midnight go deep into turn 2. He's lost places to Lars and Suku because of it, so he's down into 8th position. We also had, I think, Nathan into the wall in the Alpine at turn 15. So these drivers really struggling in these intermediate conditions. It's still not that wet. It's right on the brink of the conditions. So the intermediate tyres aren't going to be working at their best. They're going to be really overheating. And Mitchie is not enjoying these conditions. Look at Fusillo basically pushing him through this final part of the lap. Down towards turn 15, of course, no overtake done there, but Mitchie's run a little bit wide, slaps the wall on the outside. Fusillo takes a very different line through the corner. Can he get the run out of 16 and onto this back straight? Mitchie there, you can see the front of the car just not biting for the Mercedes. Fusillo's got so much more grip, and Mitchie here looks like he's going to fall off the podium.
Yeah, Fusillo on the back of Mitchie. This is going to get really tight. We've got 3 laps to go after this one. It is Duncan who leads the way. It is Blizzard in second. It's Mitchie in third. But Jensen is catching these guys as well. The PSGL F3 current leader of the championship is catching Fusillo and Mitchie, both in Division 1. And Fusillo now to the outside line. Tries to get the move done on Mitchie. It's going to be a battle of the late breakers in the Mercedes man. The TTG man just out on top of OP. Tries to get the switch back. Fusillo on the inside line. The Red Bull now on the inside for turn 2. Tries to get the move done. Mitchie tries to cut across, but I don't think it's going to be close enough as now Fusillo goes wide. Nathan has crashed coming through. Is that going to be a late safety car? I don't think so, but Fusillo now right on the back of Mitchie. That's the first crash we really had out on track apart from Mode Stroll into the pit lane. Fusillo, though, doesn't manage to get the move done, and Harry Banks is out of the race as well at the top of the hill coming through turn 14. Really disappointing, obviously, from Harry Banks' perspective, but these set of Inters really struggling, and these guys are really beginning to pay the price for it as Fusillo still on the back of Mitchie, but Jensen, he can't do a top 3 for IFR, can he?
That would be a brilliant performance from Jensen if he can. He's taken so much time out of these drivers. I think looking in the chat, Mitchie might have a bit of front wing damage that we can't see. Light front wing damage for the Mercedes man. Yeah, really struggling now because of that. And you can see Blizzard now completely gone up the road. He's hit the wall again. He's whacked the wall. That is his end plate completely gone. Fusillo's got to get the move done. Fusillo's waited too long to get this move done. And now Jensen's right here as well. Jensen looking like he could steal a podium from under these guys' noses. That would be an amazing performance. Fusillo's had a great race up to this point himself as well from outside of the top 10. Mitchie's going to run wide and hit the wall again. That damage is really costing him. Fusillo trying to move into turn 16, but he's not close enough. Running on board with Jensen, you can see he's able to brake so much later because he's not tucked up behind these drivers. Mitchie here, though, is going to really struggle through these kinks of corners on intermediate tyres with no front wing. Through the corner he goes. Look at that. Yeah, just understeers into the wall
Jensen
again. Yeah, Jensen's got a massive run on the pair of them here. Fusillo to the right-hand side of the track, down the pit straight. Jensen's still in the slipstream here. We could see 3 wide coming up towards turn 1. He's gone to the outside, interestingly. He's not gone to the inside. He's going to go to the outside line, but that's not going to work. He backs out of it. Fusillo and Mitchie try and outbrake each other. They might go deep here. Look at Jensen trying to switch back down the inside. What great racing between the 3 of these drivers. Fusillo's got the move done. Jensen's down the inside of turn 2, but Mitchie's still holding it around the outside with a damaged front wing. Brilliant driving, fair driving between these drivers, but Mitchie's struggling. Fusillo's letting him back through. Fusillo's letting Mitchie back through. He got a 5-second penalty. Yeah, for an illegal overtake because of it, because of running wide on the exit of turn 1. So that's him out of penalty position by the looks of it. Jensen here needs to get past Mitchie and keep within 5 seconds and he'll get a podium here, but he just can't get through. Mitchie is defending for his life.
He is defending for his life. Clausen, by the way, in the comment section, I love it. TTG and Baku really don't work together, and Jensen now is right on the back of Mitchie. Maybe down and towards turn 7. He's surely through this time as they come off the camera angle, and now down the inside line. Jensen as soon as he's into P4. He had to wait his turn. He got cost the time, but now he's on for a podium. Fusillo picked up a penalty, of course, with a 5-second, an illegal overtake on Mitchie because he ran wide. Duncan now through, though, and he's still in the lead of the race. Blizzard in second, Fusillo in third. Jensen, unbelievably, is on for a podium. Do you know how I said this championship, this event is wide open? I damn well meant it.
You definitely did. This is a stunning performance. Fusillo and Jensen have both had incredible races, dark horses in this race. They've absolutely shone. Jensen on for a podium for IFR. These guys have been battling so much as well. Mitchie now has been caught by Lars, Suku and Midnight. They're all here all of a sudden now. 6th, 7th and 8th. They're right up behind Suku with his penalties that are likely to get removed because of that pit lane glitch that he's got. Duncan, though, on to the final lap of the race now. 1 lap to go for him, and it's been plain sailing at the front. He's confident in every condition. He's dominated this race. No one's really come close. There goes Lars past Mitchie.
They're still side by side. They're pretty much locked together. A bit of wheel banging down the straight as well. Mitchie and Lars fighting side by side. WR against TTG. This is what we like to see. He goes all the way around the outside as Lars through turn one. Amazing stuff. Even here, damage. Mitchie is now down into P6. Lovely move by Lars. That is clean racing at its finest. And now following suit is Suku down the inside line. Pushes Mitchie into the wall. And that might get looked at. A 5-second penalty might actually remain as a result. But Suku now down into through into P6. Mitchie down into P7. Midnight got caught briefly in that as well. He got held up, and now Mitchie has to try and defend these positions. He wants the points, but he's got to remain there and keep it clean. Out on track, Midnight is Looney's into P7, and Mitchie neatly will end up in the wall coming through turn 3. There were the penalties, by the way. 5 seconds for Vasile, 5 seconds for Suku, 5 seconds for Kazizel. We think the Williams penalties will get removed because of a pit lane glitch. Vasile with a 5-second penalty as well, and Will LG with 3 seconds. So that is the update on the penalties, but Duncan, the Flying Dutchman, we thought he didn't do enough underneath the pit stops, but 9.1 seconds is the gap as I mess up the interval timing slightly. But Duncan now coming through turn 15 on the run down and towards turn 16, the Flying Dutchman on the PS4. Mr. Duncan Hoffman, Pro Exhibition P5 finisher for VSR, and he's now going to outdo Blizzard, an absolute dominant performance in the end. Duncan now through the Kings of 18, through 19, and then through turn 20. This is looking good for VSR to kick off where they left off in the last Esports Cup event. Duncan now running toward the line all by himself. He's got the straight to himself. Duncan runs to the line and he wins in Baku with Blizzard running down in second position. 9.5 seconds behind. It's dominant in the end. There's a yellow flag further down the field. That is Luca, I think, who was spun coming through turn 1. But Blizzard comes across the line in second. Vasilo in third. And look at Jensen, actually. He's 5 seconds behind, obviously, on. And Vasilo gets that 5-second penalty. And Jensen is on the podium. Absolutely unbelievable drive from the PSGL F3 current champion. Vasilo, the current leader of the championship, I should say. Vasilo in 4th. Lars there in 5th. Midnight in 6th. Suku in 7th. Mitchie in 8th. We can take a breather now. What a race that was. Mitchie in P8, Nikita in P9. Xander will come across the line to finish in P10 as well. 14F's Luca DNFing out of the race as well. Does not pick up any points for his team. And FVR are on nil point, of course, at the end of the first event. But Rita now running toward the line to finish in P12. The Haas did very well indeed. It could be a photo finish, by the way, in behind between the two McLarens of Will LG and Gil for VRT. It looks like Will's actually got damage. He's got no front wing at all. Has our Will LG, and now Gil is thrown. He's into 13th, but Will might try and get a run on him. Could be a photo finish. They have got penalties, however, has Will, and Gil now running to the line. They finish in 13th. That's a photo shot for VRT. Will LG in 14th, and Kazizel to come across on in 15th. Wrexham's AI, by the way, doesn't count in terms of the points. He down in 17th as well, but Kazizel across the line to finish in 15th position. What a race, Aiden. What a race. Absolutely unbelievable. The driver of the day is awarded by the in-game fans is Fusilo.
Yeah, Fusilo, the most places gained. That is a brilliant drive from him as well. He did a brilliant job. But I think that race had everything we could have asked for, didn't it? We had incredible battles throughout the field. Rain in playing a part in the race as well. A little bit of carnage towards the end because of that as well. But all the way through, incredible racing. What a way to start off this season.
What a way to start off this season indeed. Changeable conditions, it had it all, but it's Duncan, the Flying Dutchman of the PS4. He wins here in Baku. A fantastic race from his perspective. Blizzard in the end coming out second best as always, I think, around Baku, and finishing in P3, of course. Jensen, what a performance for IFR. He's going to be very, very proud of his performance as well. But let's have a look down at the full grid order of what we saw here tonight. And it was Duncan, of course, who took the win from Blizzard in second. Jensen in third. Great performance from ninth on the grid up to third. Vasilo with that penalty, whether or not gets removed will remain to be seen. He is currently in fourth position. These are all provisional results, remember, with Lars in P5, Midnight in P6, Suku in P7, with Michi in P8, Yakita in P9, and Xander rounded off the top 10. Of course, we go further than that with Johan in 11th, Rita in 12th, Gil in 13th, Will LG in 14th, Kazizel with the fastest lap point as well. We'll see if he gets that point. I think it only counts for the top 10, but Kazizel finishes in 15th. Luca, Vexham, Nathan. Although Luca and Vexham get counted in the results, they did not finish under their own accord, so I don't think they'll pick up any points for their teams. Nathan in 18th. Harry and Moldstall, of course, DNFing on the race along with Nathan. But changeable conditions, absolutely everything. And it's a Dutchman, the king of Baku, who comes out on top.
What an absolute surprise. A brilliant drive from Duncan. Absolutely brilliant that one was. And just to show how competitive this field is, 5 different teams in the top 5. Brilliant stuff. VSR, CRG, IFR, OP, and WR all represented in the top 5. And only 3 teams got 2 cars in the top 10. So, and that's just round 1, and that was Baku. There's plenty more races to come. There's so many more tracks that are going to spring surprises on us this season. So much more to go. So while it was a great start for VSR and for Duncan, doesn't mean it's going to be the same next week. It's going to be something completely different. Who knows what's going to happen? That's the joy of this championship. So I cannot wait to see what's going to happen this time next week.
I don't think we all can wait this time next week, to be honest. And of course, we've got more actions to come. We have got a few breaks in the season as well. But let me run you through then the calendar for the season. Of course, next week we go to Circuit Paul Ricard in France. Another terrific track to drive around. Surely going to be made full of content once again there. And some lovely and great overtakes we hope for as well out on track. As I just try and find the calendar, by the way, it would be nice if I actually had it up ready to run you through the driver the team lineup, I should say, and also the calendar, I should say, for the event as well. I'm just trying to find it. Aidan, do you have it by any chance? No pressure.
No pressure on myself, absolutely not. But I don't think I do have it to hand.
Oh, there we go.
There we go. We got it in the end.
We've got it. We have got it. So round 2 of the championship takes in, of course, France, October the 1st. So next week, next Friday, 8 p.m, same time, it is France. And then we've got a break week, of course, on the 8th of October, because the the F1 Esports, of course, starts, and it clashes, of course, with some of the events, and some of the Grand Prix as well clash with some of our events as well. But Spain, round 3, then we go into Singapore and Belgium in a triple header for rounds 3, 4 and 5. That ends off the October round, and then, of course, in November, we've got Britain, we've got Portimao, we've got Imola as well, which I'm really looking forward to, the day before my birthday, by the way, to commentate on Imola. And then round 9 and round 10 of the championship, we take in America, and the very unknown track of Jeddah, of course, in Saudi Arabia, the F1 marking their first visit to the Arab country. But Azerbaijan delivers France next week, Aidan. Overall for you, tonight, who was your driver of the day?
That's going to be a difficult one to say. There's so many drivers for so many different reasons that could pick up a driver of the day vote. But for me, I'm going to have to go for Jensen. I think Jensen really shone here tonight for IFR. We know that they were the dark horse coming in. I think they themselves will admit as well that this maybe wasn't the result they were expecting. But from ninth on the grid up to 3rd on a similar strategy to the drive, well, on the same strategy as the drivers in front of that finished in front of him in the end, did an absolutely stellar job. Really outperformed, I think, himself as well. So to be the F3 leader, being championship leader, being on the podium alongside 2 F1 drivers is such a brilliant performance from him. So I'm going to have to give it to Jensen.
Yeah, amazing. He got the strategy call completely right as well, and Jensen definitely awarded my driver of the day as well. But unfortunately, that is it for tonight. I know you're probably sighing at this point and thinking, when can I get my next fix of action, of course, for PSGL? Of course, no Saturday leagues on PSGL, but we are back, of course, on Sunday live and exclusive. All actions to be followed. And, of course, we're back, myself and Aidan, next week for France for round 2 of the championship. And I really hope you are going to enjoy the next 9 rounds of the PSGL and VRT Esports Cup event. But from myself, from Aidan, and well done, of course, to all of our drivers who finished, and to our top 3, of course, of Duncan, Blizzard, and, of course, Jensen. That is it from all of us. Really hope you enjoyed it. Apologies about the connection for my mic. I really hope it does improve in software updates or whatever is wrong with my controller or with my headset. It is a new headset as well, by the way. But really hope you enjoyed it. Of course, if you did, like, comment, subscribe, tick that notification bell, of course, and we'll see you again next week for the PSGL and VRT Esports Cup event for myself and Aidan. Take care, and we'll see you next time. Goodbye.